Hey, you've just stepped into the Caring Corner, where life's caregiving challenges meet a whole lot of heart and a dash of sass. I'm Mischelle O'Neal, and I'm here to serve up insights, inspiration, and real life tools to help you navigate caring for your kids and aging loved ones without forgetting about you. Expect everything from time management hacks and emotional wellness strategies to technology tips sprinkled with humor and tenacity. Are you ready? Let's get to it. Hey, and welcome to the Caring Corner. I'm your host, Mischelle O'Neal, and resident emotional wellness coach. And today, I want to talk about some amazing heroes in our lives, those incredible primary caregivers who do much more than they're often credited for. You know, it's easy to see the love and the hard work that goes into caring for someone. But today, I really want to talk about what often goes unseen, the often silent strength that it takes, the hopes and the dreams that get put on hold, and the struggle to hold on to who you are while you're busy being everything to someone else. I'll share a story that will hit home for many of you. It's about days spent with a loved one, juggling their needs with grace. Anyone looking at you sees your eyes as a mix of fierce love and hidden fatigue. It made me think about all the quiet battles fought daily, and that's what inspired today's chat. So, grab a cozy spot and let's dive into those hidden depths together. Recognizing and understanding this part of the journey is the first step in ensuring that our caregivers persist and flourish. Now, I want to talk about that tricky balance every caregiver knows all too well. You step into this role filled with love, ready to take on the world for your loved one. You're making decisions, you're the go-to person for everything, and yet sometimes you feel like you're climbing a mountain with no peak in sight. So imagine this. Well, it's late at night and you're researching treatments for your father, trying to make the best choices for his health. And you're there poring over article after article, feeling the weight of each decision. It's like you've got the steering wheel in your hand, right? But the road feels and seems so foggy up ahead. That's what we're exploring today. The feeling of having all the responsibility, but not always feeling like you have the power or the resources to steer everything the way that you hope to. There's a story many of you will recognize, right? That I just told. It's about managing an entire world, the appointments, the medication, the finances for someone that you love dearly. Yet, when facing the big decisions about their health, hitting a wall becomes an all too familiar part of the journey. Doctors might not always listen. Insurance might not cover what's needed. And the loved ones, they may not always be on the same page. It's like having that wheel in your hand ready to drive forward, but feeling like the car is resisting the route you know that you need to take. So, in this caregiving journey where responsibility often feels heavier than the power it should bring, how do we support those entrenched in this daily balancing act? How do we lift them up? How do we support them? How do we lift the load a bit for all those who find themselves in this tough spot? What about shared decision making? It's not just about giving advice and walking away. Hey, have you ever thought about? No, we got to do a little bit more than that. It's about doctors, family members, and caregivers sitting down together, discussing the options and deciding as a team. That's when caregivers start to see the road ahead clear just a bit. They begin to catch a breath. and feel like, hey, with help, I can do this. Look, let's empower our caregivers. If you're supporting someone, encourage them to speak up, to express their needs and their concerns. Sometimes just knowing that her voice matters can reignite that spark of hope and control. But before I move on now, I want you to think about those amazing women that you know. How many do you know out there right now? I know if you're anything like me, you're starting to see that caregiving has become maybe almost one in every four families. Someone somewhere is taking care of a loved one, or even if it's from long distance. So, how can you help her amplify her voice? How can you help clear the fog on their road? Let me talk about a common reality in caregiving that isn't talked about enough: the gap between expectations and the actual day to day experiences. Every caregiver begins this journey with a set of beliefs about what it involves, what it entails. Society paints a picture, family dynamics play a role, and caregivers themselves carry their own assumptions and hopes. But often, well, there's a disconnect. There's actually a gap between these expectations and the realities of caregiving. And this gap can manifest in numerous ways. Feeling that you have to do it all and do it perfectly. Ooh, don't get me started on that. Believing you must be the sole source of comfort and care, or expecting that if you love someone enough, the hard parts will somehow be easier. Don't fool yourself. When the reality hits, that care is complex, that there's no perfect way to do it, and that love, though powerful, doesn't simplify the tough choices or the fatigue and stress builds, burnout emerges, and even the strongest relationships can feel strained. To bridge this gap, the first step is, well, it's resetting expectations. It's not about lowering standards, but rather aligning your outlook with the realities of the care. This means acknowledging that care is a team effort. You're not in this alone, that it's okay to seek help, and that it's normal for emotions to actually ebb and flow throughout the process. Hey, just like in your normal day, you have your good days and your bad days. And it's normal in this process as well. Open communication is another vital strategy. This isn't about speaking out or just speaking, but also about creating space where honest conversations can happen, where it's safe to say, well, I'm overwhelmed and I need help, without fear of judgment. It's about families coming together, recognizing each person's limitation and working as a unit to provide the best care possible. We're all in this together. And lastly, we must leverage external support and resources. There's strength in reaching out, support groups, counseling, respite care services, and educational resources. They all can be a lifeline. They remind us that we're not alone. They're offering practical and emotional support that sustain us on this journey. Hey, I invite you to reflect on your own caregiving experiences. Where have you noticed this gap in your expectations? And what steps can you take to begin bridging it? What are things that you're doing, or maybe even you're thinking about doing? And I would love for you to share it in this community. How do we overcome those invisible barriers, those internal hurdles and limitations many caregivers face? It's like there's this unseen boundary around how far we can believe, or how far we believe we can go, or what we think we can achieve while in the role of caregiver. Now, these barriers are shaped by societal expectations, personal beliefs about what it means to be a good caregiver. And if you can't see me, I did those quotation marks there, and the pressures we place on ourselves. We all know someone or have been that person who feels like their wings are clipped because of their caregiving responsibility. They dream of going back to school or starting a business or having some time for themselves, but they're trapped by a sense of duty or guilt, whispering that it's selfish to want more than a caregiving life. Yet it's essential for caregivers to break free from these invisible chains. Break those chains. It's about understanding that personal growth doesn't have to be on hold. It's about integrating self-compassion into our daily lives, giving ourselves permission to dream and to pursue those dreams, even in small steps. For example, setting aside time each week to focus on interests can begin to chip away at that glass ceiling. Or it could be joining online classes that fit around your schedule, allowing you to grow and expand your skills in new directions. Exploring external aids and networks is also important. Countless communities and resources are available that understand the demands of caregiving and actually champion the caregiver's personal aspiration. Now, these networks can offer support, advice, and sometimes even the practical help needed to achieve your goals. Consider what invisible barriers you might have placed around yourself. Think about and reflect on your dreams and your aspirations. How can you start taking steps toward them, even while providing the care that you do? Remember, pursuing your personal growth is not just good for you, it enriches the care that you give because it fulfills a deep part of who you are. And when discussing supporting the primary caregiver, we can support them by acknowledging their experiences full spectrum, including their personal aspirations and the internal challenges that they may not openly express. Create the safe space to allow them to feel comfortable enough to open up. It's important to acknowledge the tangible task and intangible emotional support that enables them to break through these internal barriers. This includes like recognizing their aspirations beyond their caregiving role and affirming that they deserve to pursue personal growth and happiness. It's about the support system being a catalyst for the primary caregiver's own journey of self discovery and fulfillment. Hey, I don't want to keep you long, but as we come to an end of this episode, let's take a moment to reflect on the journey that we've shared. We've navigated the complex world of caregiving, touching on deep-seated challenges caregivers face, from feeling overwhelmed by the immense responsibility to wrestling with the expectations placed upon them and confronting the invisible barriers that hold them back. But more than just discussing these challenges, we've delved into how we can offer meaningful support as friends, as family, and community. It's about going beyond the surface. It's about recognizing the emotional and psychological battles and providing a strong foundation of understanding and empathy. Now, I extend a heartfelt invitation to every one of you. Each one of you, consider the caregivers in your life. How can we shift our approach to offer support that truly resonates? Can we encourage open conversations, help set realistic expectations, and most importantly, empower them to pursue their own dreams and well being alongside their caregiver duties? I'd love for the Caring Corner to be a space where we share our stories and challenges and victories. Your experiences and insights can light the way for others, creating an environment of support and understanding that actually enriches our community. Remember that in the world of caregiving, no one should stand alone. Together, we can create a circle of support that uplifts every caregiver, affirming that their hopes, dreams, and well being matters just as much as the love and care that they so generously give. Hey, thank you. Thank you for joining me today, listening and participating in this crucial conversation. Let's continue to unite, offering our hands, our hearts, and our support today and always. If this resonated with you, I would love for you to like, subscribe, comment, and even share to someone that you know needs to hear this. And until next time, take care of yourselves and each other. Remember, in giving and receiving care, we find our deepest connections and our greatest strengths. Bye-bye. All right, that's a wrap for today at the Caring Corner. We've tackled some big topics, but remember, you're not in this alone. Subscribe to keep the wisdom and warmth coming, and stay tuned for amazing guests who'll be joining us to help round out your caregiving toolkit. Catch you next time, and keep conquering those challenges.